Hello again, guys. Dirk the Red Panda back again with the Hayseed Night. Finally back on it with episode 3. Yeah, it's been a while since between this episode and the last episode. I just kind of got on a 10 days kind of run with it. Like, I was thinking maybe I should do like one episode's worth of like Hayseed Night stuff, so like 30-50 minutes-ish, and then do a day's worth of 10 essays stuff, which means basically like 2 episodes 10 essays, 1 episode Hayseed Night. And so with that pretty much like kind of not really clarified, but pretty much kind of my reason of thinking, let me show you why I'm on this loading screen. Not only does Sandra MJ do the coding, do the art, pretty much come up with the story and all that, but it's also in 3 languages. Like, that's impressive to even just do it with one language, to make pretty much most of the bare bones of your entire game, like being like doing all that, and to make 3 languages for the game, like not make 3 languages, to do it in 3 languages, jeez. But yeah, I honestly gotta give so many props to Sandra for this. Like, honestly, this definitely looks like a lot of work went into it. And with that pretty much clarified again, we are going to go into the actual menu of the game. Yeah, sorry for that very clunky, kind of awkward start to the video. I just really wanted to like, give credit for that, because if I just started here on the screen, you wouldn't know that this can be played in Spanish and French. Like, that's pretty cool. And yeah, let me see, where are we? Okay. And last time, yeah, so we were with Aina and everybody in the shop. Her dad, the merchant, gets pissed at us, gets pissed at her daughter. Basically, the merchant hates everybody. Yeah, and we found that Aina's a bit complicated with their relationship, I think. We'll find out more about that, hopefully, right now. Alright, it didn't take Ilograb long to notice Adder's usual reticence? Alright. First sentence, let's go. Alright, Adder's unusual reticence to speak.
Please, don't let Red's words affect you. He's, worse today. There's a storm coming from the west, and it's making us old people nervous.
Okay, so we got some... Okay, so we got something happening. Hoping to see what this thing from the west is.
I don't get too bothered by what the patron says. I mean, I don't cry anymore, at least. I guess I'm just worried. Aina's been acting weird today, too.
Okay, so we ended on a part where it's unusual for her. I guess she isn't that fussy? I don't know,
Maybe she's afraid of storms! I need to find her and make sure she's okay.
Ilograb didn't reply to that last affirmation. He placed Adder carefully on the ground and patted his cape to straighten it.
Well, in that case, I have to go back to keeping watch on the fair. So, this is where we say goodbye for today. Hey, I'll send someone to fetch you if I see her, okay?
Adder nodded resolutely. They waved goodbye to each other. Adder nodded resolutely. They waved goodbye to each other. And then the buck just stood there, wondering where to start looking when the bazaar was half a league from gate to gate. Assuming she was still in the bazaar at all.
Finally! I thought that fluffy bastard was never leaving.
Yes, we got Geoff back. Oh boy, I wonder how his relations with everybody are. Alright, Geoff walked into the scene with a huge smile as the giant disappeared in the distance.
Afternoon, Mr. Bard.
Oh, lad, what a face.
I'm...
Ah, not a word. Thy mien speaketh clearer than thy tongue doeth. You're hungry.
Alright. Oh shoot, I didn't know there was that other line. Crap. Why am I pausing at such weird times? Like, I need to stop doing that.
Well, I am. And I can't play a song when my stomach's growling a gazelle. Let's get some fried leaves.
Juicy, tasty, fried leaves. I'm assuming deer and elk are pretty much like vegetarian. I really don't know,
I'm so
but
sorry,
I think so.
Mr. Bard, but I don't have time for that. I'm looking for Aina.
Yeah, I think they're herbivores. I really don't know. I am very unaware of my biology. Okay. So fried leaves are a delicacy. Wonder what a regular meal is for them. Like, that's what I'm
Rachel
curious
was
to
saying
hear.
mean stuff, so she ran away all angry. And I've got to make sure she's okay.
And I thought my songs were monothematic.
Yoff picked the strings of his ode one by one, deep in thought, while Adder just paced around.
I know just the place to look.
Yoff expertly snuck through the crowds, moving with such ease that he seemed to be little more than a shadow. Adder did his best to keep up with him, though that was hardly an easy task when he was one head taller than most of the other deer. The place Yoff was looking for wasn't in the plaza itself, surrounded by the stalls and all their merchandise, but rather on one of the many alleys that led to the bazaar. The crowd there was bustling with life as well, but not quite in the same manner. They were all rowdy deer, pushing and cheering. A Karnme alley. Is that in the encyclopedia? Let me check. Oh, sweet, it is. Karnme is the name of the legendary deer practice of butting heads, a need that seems to run in their blood. Okay, Karnme tournaments are held for the coming of age. Alright. So basically a typical kind of deer antler kind of fight. Alright. That makes sense. And the one before it, Horn Eater, I thought that was something... Like, my guess in the last episode, which I didn't say, was probably that it would be based on, like, kind of some affinity for horns, like, a literal affinity. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's just some kind of, like, not even an ethnic, but just species preference, maybe? Slur used to refer to a male deer who shows another interest. Yep, in another male deer. A male or female gazelle. Oh, since they're both horned. Oh, okay. That's awkward. So I was right about half of it. Well, not illegal in any way. Social stigma. Alright. And we resume. Karnme alleys are very different from the official sort. While killing was still very much frowned upon, there was no chivalry. No one set of rules. There was no way of knowing if the horns you were being gored with were hygienic. So it's basically sword fighting. This is a very medieval tale. There were punches and kicks and all sorts of cheats. It was chaos. And for that and several other reasons, Anna was a huge fan of unofficial Karnme. She is the sadist of this. Unlike Tennis Ace, where everybody's a sadist. Sadly, as much as Adder jumped and pushed and yelled, she wasn't anywhere to be found.
Alas, your fair maiden is in another alley.
Adder cast a long glaze over the impoverished, over the improvised battlegrounds, attempting to find her one last time.
That's too bad. Aenid kicked some serious ass here.
Not with the horns, but with everything else. She is our deadly coworker.
Good thing she's not allowed to fight.
Yeah, they wouldn't let a doe fight.
Doesn't mean she won't.
A golem, Adder.
Yelf cast a very serious look in his direction. That wasn't the first time they'd had this discussion, and it wouldn't be the last. What was that last line?
I'm
going to go back for once.
Adder.
Alright, so a golem. What is a golem? Not there. I'm very out of it. Oh, it's there. Okay, so it's in races and lore. Cool. Lifelike puppets created by Cephis during the Barhan Rebellion. They were built to carry specific tasks, serving tea, wreaking havoc, and resemble... It's basically a puppet. A deadly puppet, to say the least. Okay. So calling her a puppet... I'd be offended too if I were her.
Aina is not a golem, okay? She's a doe! It's just she's Albert. A bit of a weirdo.
Oh, I was gonna say albeit. Albeit a weirdo.
Weirdo. Right. Tell me, Adder dearest, how many albino does can you name off the top of your head that can lift your heavy butt with just one hand?
Can't wait to see Aina kick some ass later then. If this is what we're getting at. Can't wait to see her throw down.
Let's go, we have to find her!
Why do I even bother? Look at her. Golem or not, she's just a little cabbage head hiding in the crowds of this enormous city. She's damn good at hiding. And do you know why people hide? Uh-huh.
Oof. Cabbage head. Yikes. This is gonna be something that comes to bite back, I bet.
They don't want to be found.
Yelf extended his arms towards him in a dramatic manner, remarking how correct he was.
You're not gonna find her. So why don't you go and use your thick skull for something useful? Like bringing us money so we can have dinner for once.
Well, when you're the breadwinner, telling your dependent to get money for you. This is what happens when you're a dependent. Nah, I'm kidding. I feel ya. Gaff pointed at the ring with his horns, and Adder knew better than to insist. With a heavy sigh, Adder nodded and began walking towards the ringmaster.
Wait, there's just one more thing. Your bag of coins. You wouldn't want to lose what little we have to the hands of, say, some ill-intentioned crook, now would you?
Yeah.
Kjaf extended his hand a bit too keenly, waiting for Adder to find the purse he usually hid in his stash. Or his sash, but...
I think I...
Oh,
Don't tell me you lost it!
Okay.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Kjaf's scrawny body trembled like a branch about to snap off. Again with the shaking animation. Love it. Something so keenly distinct about the Hayseed Night that I just love. How, like, refined the movements are
Just
with the coding.
Go. All right. See that sweaty blockhead over there with the glistening fur and that charming smile? That's your foe. I'll go place my bet
Alright, time
now.
to fight.
Are you feeling like a winner, ladder?
Oh,
Charming.
God. He's in the fight. He's in... Oh boy, please don't die.
Wait,
please
you mean
don't
the guy
die
with the
us.
sharpened horns? Bart, I don't think I'm ready for this.
Well, this is what you get for losing our money. This is what I think he would say.
What?
What if he hits me in the face? I already lost an eye, and I don't want to go blind like the merchant.
Then do enlighten me, my boy, on how in the name of the Hatsa do you pretend to become a knight if you can't handle even a rack pointed at you? No wonder you can't even catch a hint, yellow piece of mangy venison. Sorry about that.
What?
What?
I
Nothing.
said I'm going to walk you through this. So, oh, help me 3 if you mess up.
The three gods? Question mark?
Hey,
Oh,
to
crap.
start with, and a girl, you sure eat your veggies, but those sticks on your forehead, I can't fool anyone.
Oh boy. She's back. She's back. Jasif's back.
If he's serious, this is gonna be easier than I'd thought.
Sorry folks, I couldn't manage to make a battle minigame work properly for this demo. Accept these chibis as an apology and let us pretend this never happened. I get you. You are forgiven. Nah, but seriously, freaking minigames and stuff are so hard. Like, I'm low-key trying to do that with the concept I have right now, and I'm like, all I can do right now is just do it by decisions. It's so hard to actually get the mechanisms to really work and, like, get the coding down with that. Like, you really have to research that. So, yes, I feel you. Is he gonna win? Is he gonna lose in this hypothetical battle? We will find out in the next line. But after I look up in the encyclopedia, whatever I was going to look up. Sanford Seffi, not here. Sorry, I was trying to look up, like, the line before the drunk deer came in. Like, there's something about that. Oh, the 3. That's what I was going to look up. The 3, like the 3 gods. Okay, so the 3. It is said that there are many, many gods in Betatse. Akazor's mainstream religion, however, recognizes only 3 of them as protectors of Dakna. Alright. The brothers of the 3. Ahime, also known as the First, the oldest brother, or Forster, creator of the plants and the beasts, worshipped in sacred gardens. Farmers asked for... Okay, so basically a farming god. Creates us, creates our food, and then next one, so you got A, B, and then H. It's not even the 3 of A, B, C. It's gotta go like A, B, H. Sorry for that rant. But yeah, Bahatat, also known as the Second, the middle brother, or Deer Father, creator of the Ayokay, worshipped in the biggest temples of the cities, represented by the High King himself. Creator of the Ayokay. I'm probably gonna have to look that up, but not now. I'm gonna take up too much time reading this. Hirab, also known as the Third, the youngest brother, or the Fervent, creator of Makador and Barhan, once greatly worshipped in both Akazor and Basakseret. There are no functioning temples devoted to him anymore. Aww. Someone gets asked. The first one gets asked for plants. The other one's like represented by the king. Third one just doesn't get anything. How sad. We don't even know what he's worshipped for. And close entry and moving on.
Woo! I'm alive! What I win? What I win?
Life. You won, not dying.
I completely forgot to place the bet.
Oh. Ah. Come on, Gav. Give it. Ah. Come on, use that small brain in that giant hat. Use it. Gav covered his face with his hands, making some sort of intelligible noise that can only be described as the very sound of anger. Like mine, but worse. Like my muffled
Hey,
voice.
Big Ed, I want to learn some tips too. I'll buy you dinner.
Hey, he's my manager!
Gav shut Adder's snout with one hand.
My dear boy, you sure gave it all today, so why don't you go and enjoy what's left of the fair? I have a gig in the tavern later. Money, yes. Don't expect me tonight.
And a betting man he is. With that, Gav hurriedly shooed a very confused Adder away. Without any friends or anything even remotely similar to hang out with, Adder dragged his feet around the bazaar. He had missed most of the events, and after the fight he was acutely aware of just how empty his stomach was. Adder considered that his best bet was merely walking around until he got tired, and then heading home to sleep the hunger off until Anna bought him some food the next day. The college life. Totally the college life. I don't have enough money for food. Not if I just sleep till noon and skip 2 meals. That is my logic. Anyway, that is, if Anna was coming back on her own volition. Then again, he never seen her miss a single day of work. He wandered all over the plaza of where he was headed, with this beautiful artwork. Props on that. And somehow, he ended up in a place that looked all too fancy for a poor buck like him. Then again, maybe it wasn't as fancy as it looked. It didn't look like those around could afford many clothes. Before the gears of his mind could add 1 and 1, a small flickering light came... I apologize? Before the gears of his mind could add 1 and 1, a small flickering light coming from a small tent nearby stopped Adder's train of thought. Distracted from his previous concerns about the ladies, he kept his eyes fixed on the flame in the dark. It felt it was directed at him somehow. Though we can't discard that being related to being too hungry to think, of course. With nowhere better to go and nothing better to do, Adder followed his intuition and headed straight into the tent. Dusk was still a ways off, but it may have as well been midnight inside the tent. Adder combed the darkness desperately, startled by the sudden change in illumination. Bandits, assassins, mongrels. His imagination conjured a million endeavors ready to make him part with his previous cape, for that was all he had on him. I mean, I'm pretty sure a few of us were after his clothes, just not his cape. Not sure how to read strike through. Not sure if that means it's supposed to be muttered, or it's just, this is what he thought before, but we still read it. I'm shrugging at that. Moving on. Alright. That's enough sincerity for today. An orange blur shone in a corner of Adder's sight. Its flare grew with unmeasured force, binding him for a moment. He struggled to regain his vision, fearing those foes that only lived in his mind. But once more, there was no such thing, and we got just the effect. Just that for... Bathing in the light of an orb that was filled with fire, shaded in ways that made no sense whatsoever, awaited a feminine silhouette. That is very obvious here, but probably could be changed in later updates. A very feminine silhouette.
Took you long enough.
Okay, so I think I realized that, like, I've been looking at tweets lately with this character. I think it's supposed to be just Seth, and I've been pronouncing it just Seth the whole time, even this episode. So from now on, it's just Seth. We're making the mid-episode change now. We're doing it live. Of course it was her. Gasp. And all of a sudden, Adder wished he'd found a bandit instead. At least he would have known where to look then. Rolls eyes off camera, or off from the microphone. He tried to fix his gaze on her eyes, shining above a thin pink veil that covered most of her face, but that was in vain. The sequins that hung from her neck reflected the light all over the room, dragging Adder's attention right back to them, and the bra that covered the bare minimum. I have 1,000 words to call the woman in front of him, and none of them are good. So let's just say that what she was wearing would be inappropriate now, let alone then. Ooh.
Don't just stand
Risque.
there. Take a seat.
And judging by her tune, she wasn't going to take no for as an answer. For as. Should be no as an answer. Well, if you insist. Okay. So I can't just click anywhere else and back out of it. Sweet, one option. Well, if you insist. Adder did as asked and sat down on one of the many pillows lying around. Pretending to be crazy, escaping, begging for gods for mercy, breaking down and claiming that he wasn't in fact a horn eater, that this was just a mistake and he shouldn't be here. Adder's mind was bustling with ways getting out of that situation. So of course, whenever his mind was busy, his mouth was free to speak as it pleased.
Hi.
He spoke with a voice more akin to that of a fawn whose antlers are just beginning to sprout than that of a fully grown deer. I'm at her, nice place. I'm not sure where to go with this. I feel like nice place would be the more obvious answer, but I don't know. Like she said that she knew us, but I don't think she ever said our name. What, we're gonna be bold and say that
I'm
I'm
Addison,
Adder.
son of Gearfaz, the guy who owns the highest field in my village, Ravino Olis. So they know me as Addison, son of the upper field back there.
Such an Adder answer.
That's
I like
nice.
it. A mocking chuckle stabbed Adder's heart, feeling even more self-conscious than he thought he was capable of. He held onto his hooves and fixed his gaze on the ground, screaming inside as his face burned.
So it wasn't the contusion after all, huh? You're just like that.
Like what?
Funny.
Putting it lightly.
Funny? Me? Nah. I tell the worst jokes. Nothing funny about me. You look at me once and you've seen it all. I must be boring you to death right now, so I'm just gonna go.
I'm bored of seeing deer yelling obscenities in the streets, of course. But you're the only deer I've seen in my life with the guts to compliment a Barhan. Then again, everyone thinks the same about Jasif in private.
Wait, just see if I was right. Dang. We're so close. I revert my last statement, or I take back my last statements. It is Jasif. Adder couldn't help thinking that maybe Jasif thought a bit too highly about Jasif if he used Jasif when talking about Jasif, like Kanye loves Kanye. That's what I'm thinking of this. But he made a point not to say that out loud since the situation was already bad enough as it was.
That's me, alright. Gotta keep this big snout closed.
A deep silence filled the tent. Adder cursed his luck and his good manners. He wanted to run away and hide, fearing that he'd otherwise commit a big mistake. Big. Throwback to first episode when I was like, back. Anyway, that kind of mistake that would get him called a horn eater for the rest of his life.
Well then, it was nice to see you again, but...
Would you like to know your fortune?
Oh god, she's a fortune teller. Hence the glowing orb that's off screen, or kind of where the dialogue box is. Adder halted. She remained perfectly cool, observing him with a nonchalant expression.
Oh, you're a fortune reader? Dang, I'd love that. But wait, I lost my bag of coins. I don't have a door on me, so...
Not gonna look up currency yet. Don't want to, take away from the reading. Something flew into the ground, right beside Adder's
My
foot.
bag?
You dropped it right after you crashed the first time. I meant to give it back, but since you were so bent on running through that wall...
You didn't steal from it, did you?
Because stealing is bad. That's the look I feel like Adder has. It's just like,
Steal
better
what?
not do that
It's
thing.
just filled with rivets.
Aha! That means you opened it.
So much for wanting to see you again. That was all. You
Love
can go now
interest.
if you want.
Adder felt like his gut was being punched upon witnessing such a scene. His will to live disappeared as his biggest weakness manifested itself. A lady in distress. Lady. Sitting down once more, despite himself, Adder looked at Jasif with a mix of embarrassment, naivety, and just plain fear.
I don't suppose you'd accept rivets as payment?
That would depend on what you're paying for.
Getting my fortune read?
Dense. So dense.
Just keep them.
Jasif rested her arms over the crystal orb, leaning closer to Adder.
Are you gonna read my future?
Like you said, three sentences or a minute ago or
Your
something like that.
Why would you want to know anything about that? Life would be boring if you knew it waits around every corner.
Oof. Fortune telling debunked. Honestly, like that's my vibe with it. Like, if you read somebody's future, they're gonna change their future. Therefore, that future's not gonna be true. And then it's gonna be a whole new future, and that future is wrong. So then it's like you're not getting a fortune of your future. But then it's like saying the sentence is false, which means like you don't know if it's false or not. Oh my god, and I'm going into a paradox.
I'll read your past and justify your present.
Very clever.
I already know those things.
I don't.
We all do. Her blue eyes spoke like an insinuating whisper. Her fingers walked over the cobblestone ground, headed towards Adder's own hands as her face got ever so close. The bells that hung from her sash rang as they hit the ground, reminding him once more of her less than modest clothing. But no, she was no doe. A moment of lucidity made him move his hand away, looking once more at her eyes, lest he'd end up losing track of his goals in a definite and irreparable way.
I guess you could use a reminder too.
Oh. The soothsayer made no attempt to conceal her disappointment, much like no one ever made any attempt to explain to her what coming on too strong means. With apparent tedium, she grabbed the crystal orb and put it between her face, right, and Adder's. This time, she had no more pretensions than merely watching him.
Oh fire, tell me the secrets in the...
Every time he looks like that, I just feel like he's looking at us, breaking the fourth wall, being like, next line, please. Like, it's just such a funny thing where I go, Is he like, is this supposed to be a whole fourth wall pun?
I don't feel like switching languages now.
Basaktet. Okay, that's how I pronounce it. Her complete lack of professionalism made Adder feel, for once, at ease. After all, what would he do if he was indeed in front of a Sephi, one of those heinous Barhan wizards from far back in time? Cry? Beg? Try to escape? Wait, those were things he'd already thought of doing. As Adder was considering the subtle differences in the fears he felt when talking to a girl and imagining being burnt to a crisp by a witch, she watched him. And she kept watching. And then she watched some more. But something seemed off. The gazelle shifted her eyes and squinted, lifting her head from behind the glass a few times and finally settled on fixing her gaze on the fire again. But she seemed to be struggling. She pressed her mouth to one side, wiggled her nose, and knit her eyebrows closer and closer as she focused on the orb until Adder could no longer hold his laughter back.
Shush! It's easier with two.
That's what she said. She mumbled the last part to herself, but Adder was sure that she'd said eyes.
What? You've never done it with a one-eyed deer before?
Adder pressed his lips together like he wanted to make them disappear. Jasif merely rose an eyebrow. His accidental innuendo made him begin shaking from horns to hooves once more.
Screw this.
She pushed the orb away with an exasperated sigh as it bounced like a basketball. Before Adder knew what was going on, his face was in her hands and her face right in front of his.
I need to find out if it was you after all. Stay still.
A drumbeat in his ears. That was Adder's heartbeat as she stared at him so intently. There was a lump in his throat. He did his best not to tremble. His eye began feeling heavy, though he tried to hold her gaze. She was muttering something, words about his past. But her voice became obscured by the noise of the bells, the crackling of the fire, the sound of her own eyelashes battling against each other.
No. This can't be...
Oh no. Adder opened his eyes, surprised at her sudden change of attitude. He was going to ask what was wrong, but instead, he would have screamed if he could. Oh crap. 2 guards were glaring at him. One of them was pointing at him with his assegai.
Just who do you think you are?
Who do you think I am?
That was Jasif's voice. But as much as he tried to find her, Adder couldn't see her. In fact, he couldn't even move at all.
You're not gonna trick me with that, scum!
As I said, I'm nothing but a girl on her way home.
Exactly. Now, get off the royal pathway immediately.
Adder felt a lump formed in his throat and he unwillingly looked over the railings that he was leaning against. Oh, crap.
I don't suppose you expect me to jump off the bridge.
You're right. I'll just drag you to the dungeon and end this nonsense. Your kin shouldn't even be outside after curfew.
We don't like your kind. It's gonna be
My
one of
kin?
those.
Do you mean the girls from the Desert Rose?
The guard's face went pale all of a sudden. The older one seemed surprised in a different way. A sigh of relief was welling up inside Adder's chest, though he couldn't feel his chest at all. He was beginning to question his sanity altogether.
I assume you're familiar with that name. I'm already running late, and Miss Rochelle will be really, really worried if her favorite girl doesn't make it home before dawn. So, I thought that I could use a little shortcut.
But only nobles can.
Tell you what, if you could make a little exception this time, I'm sure I could arrange a discount next time you visit my home. Just say that Jasif sent you there.
Jasif? I mean, if you were a doe, I would consider it, but...
I don't know. I've heard a lot of things about Jasif, and I think I'd recognize someone that goes around calling herself Queen if I saw her.
I can assure you I'm...
Assure me? I'm not sure I can take a gazelle's word. See, maybe I can't recognize you because you're wearing too many clothes.
Oh.
Ugh, what are you saying, you
Sliver.
numbskull?
Well,
eyes are up
it's her
here.
job anyway if she's telling the truth. We could let her go if she pays a little toll.
Adder felt revolted. The other guard was clearly disgusted
Keep it
as well.
together, Sep. It's over if you take a step back.
The guards didn't react to that sentence at all. It was like they hadn't heard her, when her voice sounded loud and clear in Adder's ears. But more importantly, Sep? I was right. I was right. I just was getting ahead of myself.
I can pay in gold.
Then we'll take that too.
We? I want nothing to do with this.
More for me.
A smirk appeared on the guard's face, but before he could even move a muscle, a scream tore up
What
the
do you think
silence
you're
of the
doing?
night. Everyone turned around to look at the idiot yelling all the way
You think
down
you
on
could
the
just
ground.
bother her last because she looks good enough for second helpings and then dessert?
Oh, I thought we'd continue.
Well, you can't, Kay. That's not cool. And you'd make your moms cry if they knew. Let her go!
Yeah, tell him, Adder. I think that's Adder, but on the ground. I don't know why he has a thing around his eye like that, but it's not a patch anymore. I'm confused. Adder had most certainly gone
What the hell is
crazy.
that Sid first saying? Is he drunk?
I don't know. I think he's just a horn eater like you.
Hey, who are you calling a horn eater? Oh, just wait up there!
Adder, the pudgy version of Adder, that is, wasn't concerned with matters such as his complete lack of grace, agility, or strength. Moved by his sense of justice, he began climbing the column that led to the royal pathway. So are there two Adders now? I am confused, but I'm going to find out. Of course, he never made
Hey!
it.
Are you still alive? Horn eater!
You should go check.
As if I'm going to leave you alone with her. Get that old ass back to the barracks, or I'm telling Elagrab what you just did.
Classic Elagrab. It was the older guard's turn to go pale. He lowered his helmet and began walking in the other direction. The younger guard, however, stopped a moment to look at her.
You... go home. And don't let me catch you up here again.
The guards finally disappeared in the darkness. A moment of peace which Joseph took to look over the railings at one last time. Her wannabe savior now lay unconscious on the ground after hitting his head during the fall. And in spite of how miserable the scene was, Adder could feel a smile forming on her face. He finally understood that, crazy or not, he was seeing what she was seeing. The way she saw it.
That was really nice of you. I'll make it up to you somehow.
Noticing how high the bridge was off the ground, she quickly pulled away from the railing.
Some other day.
Do a flip. Joseph turned around and began running, lest any other patrols would head her way. As she ran, Adder began feeling lightheaded. He shut his eyes tightly once more, and when he opened them, Joseph updated. Oh, interesting. He was back in the tent, with the gazelle still staring at him. Not a moment had gone by. Hatter had a million questions. Was that real? Was that a memory? Had he eaten something off? Had he forgotten any more parts of his life due to hitting his head too hard as usual? But as he opened his mouth, he could only pronounce a single word. Oh boy. The redhead's hands lost grasp of his face for a moment. Her ears perked up, attracting Adder's gaze, much to his chagrin, towards her horns once more. She pulled her head back, disconcerted would be discomfort, forming on her expression little by little. Might be right, might be wrong, I don't know. It wasn't one of her conceited expressions, nor was there any mesmerizing superiority in her eyes. She looked honestly and utterly tiny for a moment, scared.
Where did you hear that?
I saw something really weird when you looked at me. We were under Hiram's statue and I was there, but I wasn't me. And I couldn't see you, but I could hear you. And I think I actually kind of remember that,
Joseph rose a hand. It was
You're a
shivering.
gaze reader.
Wait, what? Oh boy. Anger hit her like a wave as the shock disappeared. Oh boy, look
Why
at those
didn't
lit up
you say
eyes.
so? Get away from me!
Oh crap. The fire in the orb began flickering erratically, casting disturbing shadows all over the tent.
What? I'm a what now? Did I say something wrong? Is Sep a bad word in Gazelle speak?
Do you seriously expect me to believe that you...
She looked at him with skepticism. Her eyes squinted with barely concealed anger. She was clearly sizing him up.
No. You really don't have a clue of what you just did, do you?
Then you're telling me that
Oh
you're...
crap. What was that last line? Adder shook his head almost pitifully. Her expression relaxed just a little.
Then
Nothing
you're
important.
telling me that you're a natural gaze reader? Do you even understand what this means?
I don't.
Yeah. No.
A small chuckle erased all the tension from her face. Adder felt even more confused upon seeing this.
I was trying to read your gaze, but you read mine instead. It's called gaze because we invented it. So, it's true what they say about yellow deer. You must have Barhan blood.
Interesting. Adder would have normally disputed the last affirmation. Roe deer took pride in being real deer, no gazelle blood at all. Nope, 100% deer with does that don't have horns. But this was clearly not the moment nor the company to say that.
You totally lost me there.
I feel you. I'm just really bad at understanding longer, like, fantasy stories like this. That's probably on me.
You read my mind.
Oh, now it makes sense. Nah, I just feel kind of stupid right now. Like, I low-key feel like Adder
What?
right now.
I think I'm not the funny one here, missus.
The gazelle seemed way too amused with this development.
No, it makes so much sense. I was wondering why you spent so much time looking at my face.
Oh, it wasn't attraction. It was mind. It was gaze reading. Ah. I'm not looking at you. I'm gaze reading.
Hear me out. I'm sure you've always been really good at getting people's feelings. But not smart enough to actually understand them.
You read my mind. Why is Joseph reading my mind too? Oh my god.
You're like some
I'm feeling
kind
crazy
of
now.
savant hick. That's hilarious.
A wrinkle formed over Adder's snout. That was quite
My name
enough.
is Adder, not Hick, Ms. Sepp. That's your name, isn't it?
Got him. Her face went back to being a little more than a pretension of grandeur, but she held the fire close to her. She didn't look at all that different from a child hung in her blanket, soothed by the rhythm of the bells she wore. Adder couldn't help but notice that her alarming clothing didn't even bother him anymore.
It's just a stupid nickname someone gave me. I hadn't heard it in years. They call me Joseph now.
Nope, you're Seth. according to the Twitter I've seen, it's Seth. Joseph. As the older guard had said, it was just a title.
Isn't that something like Queen and Gazelle speak?
Okay. Good thing they explained it to me without having to look in the
Gesundheit.
dictionary.
And yes, that's a valid translation. Do you have any qualms about it?
Adder opened his mouth, ready to speak his mind. Alright. Split on this choice. Seth, Joseph. I want to call her Seth, but I just feel like I'm not sure if she's gonna be like. She just said it was just a title.
No, that's cool. Joseph, did I say that right? I mean, if you need people to call you Queen to be happy.
Oh boy.
I don't need to be called anything to...
Adder didn't mean anything with that, but he'd somehow managed to say something rude all the same. He's looking at me going, why did you choose this decision? I'm sorry. She didn't finish that sentence, deciding instead to just look
Are you
away.
okay?
I'm not. She turned her face sharply towards his. There was something different in the way she was looking at
Adder,
him.
right?
Yeah, that's me.
Unless you want to be called king. No, I'm kidding. He took a hand to his heart and bowed his head as an instinctive greeting, accidentally clashing his horns against hers. He was surprised to find that somehow that was a lot less gross than he'd thought it'd be. You touching horns. Guess they're that unsanitary with them? I don't know. And he didn't know how to feel about this appreciation.
Didn't you want to know your future? Then listen closely.
Oof. Look at this. She put her mouth right next to his ear and whispered. Dang, once again, good art.
You're
Props
coming
on
with
that.
me tonight.
Where?
You really are one of a kind. Come to the Desert Rose when the lights are all out. My room is on the first floor, but climbing there should be easier than climbing the bridge at the very least.
Wait, climb? Room? There you go saying weird stuff again. I'm not a thief, and I'm not a horn eater.
Without previous warning, the fire in the orb extinguished, leaving the room in total darkness. Adder didn't even have time to feel alarmed. He felt her hands on the back of his head, and next he knew, her lips were over his. His mind shut up completely.
See you later.
He couldn't even stop to consider how he felt about that before the kiss was over. With that in mind, he got up and turned around to leave. Alright. Well, I'm just gonna close the window for a second. Be back in a second. It's getting too hot outside. We got like a heat wave going right now. In the middle of August, of course. And where are we? Oh yes. For a few moments, he stood frozen outside the tent, merely appreciating the cool dusk breeze on his fur. By the time his thoughts began making any sense, he was already running home at full speed, crying disconsolately about the realization that he was, in fact, a horn eater. Ooh. Stigma. All about stigma. Do what you love. Don't let the society tell you what's right or wrong. You both have the same intelligence. You both are humanoid characters. Do what you love. Wait right there. Stop reading immediately. Okay, I'll stop. Okay, no, I need you to continue. Never mind if you can read. Should you even? Is this a book for someone your age, Lynn? I am Lynn. Nice to meet you. Guess I'm Lynn now. I mean, I'm not going there, but... Well, I hope you don't know. I'd rather you stayed a tiny fuzzball that won't stop yelling and running all over the place. Oh my god, he's writing this for a long kid. Ugh. This is so awkward. Dot. Hey, did I ever tell you about how Sis and Dad met? Oh my goodness. And let's stop here because I want to end on a chapter now. Like, we've been going for about a good hour. Alright. So, chapter 2, Ghosts at the Feast, will be read next time on the Hayseed Night. Take care, guys.